Welcome back for another video. Today's video is going to be on Lathe C&Y Axis Tutorial 2. So this is a handout that you will find in the portal. It's actually at the very end of the handout. This is our part here. It looks like we have just some standard turning. We have some slots that are going to kind of twist around this part. That are in the form of splines. And it looks like we have kind of like a little fidget spinner shape here at the back side of it. So we're going to transfer this part and mill the back and then finish this as well. So let's go ahead and get started drawing this part. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, of course, as always, is I'm going to go select my machine and I'm going to select default. Because I need a sub-spindle for what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to select my DZ plane and hit equals. And I'm going to start drawing my part with my line endpoints. I'm going to start at 0, 0, enter, 0.25, 0, enter, 0.625, or sorry, 0.65, 65, comma, negative 0.625. Whoops. I didn't put a negative in there. Delete that. Start again there. 0.65, comma, negative 0.625. 0.65, comma, negative 1.625. And then we're going up to 1.05, comma, negative 1.625, and 1.05, comma, negative 875, and then up to 1.235, comma, negative 1.875, and 1.235, comma, negative 2.875. And it looks like they're telling us that it's 2.25. I'm going to draw that in. I'm not sure if that's actually the max diameter over that, but we'll give it a shot and see. We'll be able to tell as soon as we draw that profile whether we need to change that diameter or not. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that in. It looks like that is 2.25, comma, negative 2.875 and 2.25, comma, negative 3.125. Whoops. Made an error again in my typing. And we're going to go 2.25, comma, negative 3.125. Enter. Yeah, that's where I screwed up. I missed those numbers around. And then we're going to 0.75, comma, negative 3.125, and 0.75, comma, negative 3.375. Enter. Okay. And there is the profile for our part. All right, the next thing I'm going to do, of course, is I'm going to draw that shape. So I'm going to draw that like fidget spinner shape that we have there. To do that, we're going to switch to our plane right side, and I'm going to hit top. And I'm going to set my wireframe, or my Z level, to a negative 3.125. Negative 3.125. Enter. I'm going to bring up my circle here. And it looks like the diameter of those circles doesn't actually give you them for the outside diameters, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that all of them are 375. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that the center point for this, we are going to, let's actually create a bolt hole circle. It would be the easiest way to do this. So we're going to do 0, 0, enter. We're going to do 3, The diameter of this is 1.5. Start angle. The angle is actually relevant here because of the location of the splines. Those splines, the orientation of these lobes are important to those splines. So you have to make sure you have the orientation correct. So in this case, it looks like I am 60 degrees. I'm going to go 60 for my start. And that is right. And now I'm just going to change my hole size. Actually, I'm just going to draw the holes first. So we're going to make those 0.25. And that looks good, actually. Check. All right. And now I'm just going to create some circles for my other parts. And like I said, those are 0.75 diameters. We're locking that. Okay. And what we want to do is we want to connect these with a radius. Now, when we fill with this, it probably won't work the way that we want it. First off, I have to change my radius so that it actually is big enough. Actually, it did work, surprisingly. Oh, see, there's the problem. So that's what you run into when you do it this way. So we're going to undo that. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to just create another bolt hole pattern. The same exact way, 0, 0, enter. And this time I am going to get rid of my 60. And my diameter is still 1.5. This is going to be 0.75. Tab. And, oh, start angle still 0. There we go. And there are my circles. So I can just trim them now. Hit check. And I'll go to wireframe and divide these. So, pretty easy way of doing this that you may not just think of, right off the cuff. And there we go. There is our profile. And that should be all we're going to need, besides the splines. So let's go ahead and move forward with those. So let's add those splines in there. And of course, this says that they are going from the top plane. So we're going to want to go to the top plane so that this shows up correct. I'm just going to hit my top. Actually, I'm going to hit isometric so we can kind of see what it's doing there. All right. I'm going to pick my spline. And my first point is negative 2.625, comma 0, comma 0.6175, enter. Next point is negative 2.375, comma 0, comma 0.4366. And our last point is negative 2.125, comma 0. Oh, check that. 0.6175. 6175, comma 0. Enter. All right, and hit check. And there is our first spline. I think I made a mistake on that though, because that doesn't quite look right. Yeah, something's not right there. I messed up one of the dimensions. Basically, I know that my outside surface here is like this, so I think this one here, I messed up that middle dimension. So let's do that again. All right, I get negative 2.625, comma 0, comma 0.6175, enter, negative 2.375, comma 0.4366, .66, comma, 0.4366. That's where I messed up. Yeah, definitely where I messed up. Negative 2.125, comma, 0.6175, comma, 0. And hit check. That looks a little better. Alright. Alright, let's put the next one in. Negative 2.625, comma, 0, comma, negative 0.6175, enter. Negative 2.375, comma, negative 0.4366, comma, negative 0.4366, enter. Negative 2.125, comma, negative 0.06, or shit, 0.6175, comma, 0. Enter. And hit check. So I think I must have hit something wrong with that one too, because that one doesn't look like that's right either. So let's delete that one and do that one again. Having trouble with my typing skills here. Negative 2.625, comma, 0, comma, negative 0.6175. Enter. Negative 2.375, comma, negative 0.4366, comma, negative 0.4366. Enter. And negative 2.125, comma, negative 0.6175, comma, 0. Enter. All right, that looks a lot better. Yep, much better. All right, so not sure why I was having too much trouble entering them, but there we go. So if it doesn't look right, obviously you've made a typo, and it's pretty obvious when you do it. So there we go. We have our part drawn. We can still go ahead and start to cut this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and hit top, and we're going to, we already selected our machine, so I'm just going to set up my stock. Change my stock plane to a DZ equals, and I'm going to set up my properties. I am actually going to do a pick off. So your book, actually I'll go through it here in a second. We use 2.5 stock. Length part is 3.375. And I'm going to use my margins. I'm going to make my left margin 2.0, right margin 0.01. So what I mean by doing a pick off, oh, bear with me here. Let me get the chuck jaws set up as well. 2.5. Oh, am I setting up the wrong ones? Yeah, I think I am. No, I'm good. Just had that in there from last time. Negative, we'll say, we'll make this a 3.75. Negative 3.75. Check. And that looks good. All right, so what I mean by pick off is turning this, we're actually going to do a pick off cutoff. So I'm going to come in with my spindle, grab the part, and I'm going to come in, cut it off while both spindles have hold of the part, and then once it cuts off, I'll then transfer that back and we'll do the back side. So it's not what your book tells you to do. That's okay. If you just did a stock transfer, don't worry. I'm just showing you this so you know how to do it. I know you know how to do a stock transfer now because I've already had that in a past video. But I want to show you how to do a pick off so that you know how to do it for the future. Okay, so since we have that stock set up, I'm going to go ahead and start out with this. Oops. So first problem is I didn't change the stock plane. Or maybe I did. All right, let's see what that alarm was. I got kind of hasty there. WCS for this orientation does not match the stock plane. Okay. All right, so that means we're on the wrong plane because we were putting those splines in. That's what's going on. All right, let's go ahead and select this tool, 2000. Yeah, so sometimes I think I know exactly what the error is, and as you can see, sometimes it turns out I'm wrong, and I actually have to read it. Go ahead and hit check. All right, that's good. Let's rough this thing. And I'm just going to rough it all the, whoops. Oops, I'm on single. I'm going to unselect that, and I can do that just by hitting U on my keyboard. I'm going to do as partial. That's what I actually wanted to do there. All right, so that looks good. Same tool is good, 3000. Spindle speed is going to be 2000. And my feed rate is good. So I'm going to rough this, 100 thousandths passes, 0.02 for a minimum. Stock to leave in the Z, 0.005. Plunge parameters, I want those off. And my lead in, I'm going to extend my contour about an extra 1 or 0.15. And we'll see if that hits the chuck jaws or not. If it does, we can always adjust those. Oh, we're good. Plenty of room there. Okay, so the reason, as you noticed, I picked this, and that was just so I get to the back of the whole back of the part. Since I don't have plunge on, it's just going to cut straight. So you can do that. It makes it really easy. So that looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to hit my finish pass and select the last, check. And when that comes up, I'm just going to change my speeds and feeds, 3000 at 2000 and 0.008. Everything looks good there. Cutter comp off to the right. My lead in, I just need to extend this contour a little bit. So extend at 0.15, check, and hit check. And there we go. All right, so I have basically my part roughed out. So let's just take a look at that, see how it looks. This one is not nearly as complex as the last one that we did. So it looks good. I can dig it. All right. The next thing we need to do here is we need to do these. So we're going to mill these. For that, we're going to use a C-axis contour. And I'm just going to pick some singles. Hit check. And I'm actually not sure how wide these are. You have to go through the tutorial for that. It might tell me in here maybe. I'll look through my book. So if you look on this print, it doesn't actually tell you how deep or wide those splines are supposed to be. So that comes a little bit problematic. So if I look through here, 1/8 inch. So using an 1/8 inch flat end mill. However, it does not tell you how deep it is. So we don't have a depth. So I'm just going to assume that it's an 1/8 inch deep. And that should be fine. So I'm not sure why it doesn't tell you that, but it doesn't. So let's go ahead and pick our tool. Select 1/8 inch flat end mill. And feed rate, we're going to move it. Let's do 10 inches a minute. It's a pretty small end mill. 5000. A plunge at 6 is fine. Cut parameters. We're going to turn our computer compensation off because we're doing a centerline cut. I'm not going to use depth cuts. I think the tutorial actually wants you to use depth cuts, or I should say the exercise wants you to use depth cuts. If you look at the instructions, I don't It's aluminum, so I'm not really worried about doing depth cuts here. No lead in. Linking parameters, we're going to go, negative 1/8 inch, negative 0.125. Actually, you know what, I'm going to go 16. Negative 0.0625. And that looks good. Next thing, axis control. We have to put our diameter in there, which is 1.235. 1.235. And hit check. And that should generate our path for us. Alright, so I know that looks goofy because it's not showing the whole path, but that is just graphics. It will turn out right. So we'll simulate this here. Let me save this before we simulate. Save as, lathe assignments. And we're going to save this as C&Y Exercise 2. I'm going to call it video. Oh, Exercise 2. I'm just going to put video on the end so that I know which one it is. Okay. So let's go ahead and simulate that. Just make sure everything looks good. And there we go. There are our splines. Okay. So that looks good. All right, the next thing we need to do is we need to do this pick off, cut off. So what we're going to do is, in order to use this feature, chuck jaws or collots must be defined in both spindles. So we got to define that. Did that last time, didn't get that alarm because we did it ahead of time. But let's go ahead and define the right spindle jaws. All right, parameters. And we usually just make this 30.0. Diameter is going to be 1.235 and hit check. Alright, so now we have those defined. And we should see some jaws way over yonder. Maybe I have to refresh this. There they are. And there's our jaws. Alright, so we're going to pick this pick off, cut off. And first we're going to select our geometry to translate, which is going to be all of this. And selection. And okay, so length of the finished part is going to be 3.375. Pick off coordinate, that is going to be a negative. Let's see where we want to go here. Let's bring that over so you can see it on the video. I don't think we want to go all the way to 2.875, so let's go a negative 2.75. That'll be enough to hold on. We want to actually be a little bit away so that our end mill can extend past this face when we mill it from the backside. So we're going to say negative 2.75. I can also select from the geometry as well, and it'll actually figure that out for me. And I can pick my pick off coordinate too if I wanted to, but obviously I don't want that number in there. Okay, so next we are going to go face stock. We're going to leave a little bit on there, so we're going to leave 0.01 on it to face it off later. We're not going to leave any back face stock on there, so that, oh sorry, back face, that's what we want, 0.01. Face stock, we're going to leave it 0. Okay, so that looks pretty good thus far. Operations, all right, let's go check this out. So we're going to pick bar off and cut off. We're actually going to do pick off, cut off. So cutoff width is going to be 0.125. Our cutoff X coordinate, I believe that's actually 2.25. Yeah. We're going to make it 2.25. And we should be good. Let's give this a go. Ha! Awesome. So it just generated all these paths for us, which is kind of cool. And there we are. We have our part on the back side, and it left an extra 10 thousandths there for us. All right, so now that we've picked this thing off, we are going to go ahead and machine this, face it. So let's go ahead and face. Select this tool. We're going to go 2000 RPM, 3000 max, face 0.006. We do need to change our axis combinations, so we're working in the right right turret, and the finish right there. That looks good. Let's hit check. All right, finishes that just fine. Let's rough this. I think I've already turned this, so I'm actually going to unselect that. And I'm just going to select there and there and hit check. Pick my tool, make sure my axis combination is correct. And again, I am at, oh, darn it, 3000 and 2000 RPM. 10 thousandths is all right. This here all looks good. We want our remaining stock on, and everything should be good in here. I just want to make sure that this didn't carry over. Okay, it did not, so we're good there. Hit check, and there we go. Let's do finish, and let's just do a last check. I'm going to extend this up a little bit just for the finish. 3000, is it 2000, finish 0.008, and lead out. I'm just going to extend that path up just a little bit just to make sure it cuts past. I'll just make it 0.05, no big deal there. Check. Oh, tool collision with wrist. Oh, I didn't change the, yeah. Yes, I just keep it. So if you forget this, it starts alarming and going crazy on you, so you have to make sure you change that axis combination. Alright, so that should take care of it. Alright, there we go. That looks good. Alright, now the last two things we need to do is we need to mill that fidget spinner shape out. So we're going to go ahead and pick a face contour, and I'm going to select that fidget spinner shape. Oop. Unselect that, hit a chain, and then select it. I'm also going to change dynamically to the, basically, as far out on that as I can from the center of the spindle. Hit check. And tool. So we're going to use a 1/2 inch end mill for this. Use a 1/2 inch. And we'll mill this at 25.0, 5000 RPM. That looks pretty good. Plunge rate, let's make that 15. Cut parameters, we are going to be off to the left. And I always like wear one for this stuff. Depth cuts, don't need them. Lead in, lead out, yes, absolutely. So we'll make this 10, 10, oops, 10. Check. No reason to adjust the contour. Multi-passes, definitely need those. And let's start with 4 of those at 0.2 2 spacing. 1 finish pass with 0.01 spacing. And then the depth. So I don't know where my depth is right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and select that. It's positive 2.5 until I change my axis combinations. So I'm going to make this a negative 0.3. I just want to go a little bit past that face, so my end mill's sticking past. That looks good. I believe everything there looks pretty good. Yeah, everything there should be okay. And axis control, upper right, check. And there we go. I get the feeling that I probably can take one of those away. one of those multi-passes. So let's make that 3. Check. Regen that. And let's go ahead and drill this thing. So I'm going to select my face drill, turn off my depth filters, and oops, don't want that. Got to be careful not to select the quadrant points. It's really annoying that it snaps to those so easily. Alright, so I got my 3 holes. Check. Select a tool. And I'm going to select a spot drill. I believe the holes are 1/4 inch. Yeah, they are. So I'm just going to take a 1/2 inch spot drill. And I'm going to feed that at 8.0 at 2000 RPM. Cut parameters. I'm just going to drill. Linking. We're going to go -0.13. Tip comp's fine. And axis control, of course, we're going to change that. There we go. And I'm just going to do the same thing again. Last points. Check. This time around, I'm going to select my 1/4 inch drill. There it is. I'm going to go 8.0, 1500 RPM. Linking parameters. We need to go through that. It looks like that's about a 1/4 inch, so I'm just going to go -0.35. That should be plenty to get through there. More than plenty, really. Okay. And I'm just going to change my axis control. It's already got it selected. And there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and check this out. First, I'm going to save it. And let's go verify. Sweet. Even got chamfers on there. So everything there looks pretty good. And that is our finished part. Let me just slow this down and show you the pick off. Well, that didn't work. Let's rewind it again. Damn it. There we go. It's really slow or really fast sometimes, man. Hardly react to it. Okay, comes over. Our tool comes in, cuts it off. Spindle retracts and starts working on the back side. So, pretty cool. And it looks good. All right, so that is all for this video. Again, as always, if you have questions, feel free to see me during my office hours or, of course, during class. Hope you enjoyed that. And, oh, actually, quick pause. So, notice my depth became a problem here. I didn't notice that right away. But that depth is a problem. So, let's go back and change that. What we'll have to do is just change our depth to a 1/4 inch for that C-face contour. Linking parameters. I didn't realize that, and now I see it, and that's definitely a problem. I'm going to make it 1/1000 deeper, so that should take it past. Let's go ahead and simulate that. Play. And that looks pretty good. Now notice you get that little flange there on the end. So that's just something you're going to have to live with, or what you do is you just use a tool that has a smaller nose radius so that you don't get that. And then you should be able to create that part without that flange there. The other thing we could do is we could come out back and like create geometry and come and trim that. But we're not going to worry about that for this. All right, so that is the final iteration of this. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to see me during office hours, of course, during class.